Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. It's my favourite time on a Friday. I'm Janny and I'm joined by Mr. Dean Jones. Dean, today I've got my cup of tea. I was so jealous of you last time out. I had my rubbish water. I promise you there was liquid in that. All
Mate,
set for the next hour. How you
very
doing?
good. I'm okay, mate. I've still got my coat on. I just realised I just got home 5 minutes ago. I've just been out, and I've got a kombucha. Actually, have you ever tried kombucha?
Oh, I haven't. What is it?
Lovely
I've
drop.
heard of it.
It's got some sort of health benefits. I'm not sure exactly what they are. Something to do with your gut, but I just like it because it's like raspberry and blueberry flavour. I think it's like a bit of a fizzy drink, but without being unhealthy. So
Yeah.
yeah,
New year,
like,
mate. New year, new you.
yeah, well, I've been doing this for the last year, drinking this stuff. But yeah, it's good. I recommend it. I've had 4 cups. I mean, no, I've had 3 cups of coffee and a cup of tea already today, and it's
Oh,
only 1 o'clock. So I thought I was gonna have a cup of tea or coffee for this show, and I thought, do you know what? I could probably is CH. What, you've never heard of kombucha? CH, kombucha is a much bigger thing in America than it currently is
is
in
it?
the UK. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
your
yeah,
wife's influence, is it?
massively. I
Yeah,
like.
I have heard of it. And actually, CH is big on healthy lifestyle because I've been speaking to CH on Instagram, and CH saw my post about drinking celery juice every morning, which again is good for gut health.
Do you
So I
do
really
that?
should know about kombucha. Mate. I bought a juicer first
Okay.
of Jan, and I'm literally every morning. Well, not every morning because I do enough for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
I have to drink 250 ml of raw celery juice with no added water or anything. Just it's disgusting. But yeah, it's my new daily routine. I'm drinking celery every morning with a juicer. I drink 250 ml of celery, which is a small cup, is a whole bunch of celery. So it's
Okay.
one. I'm a one bunch a day man at the moment. It's a lot of celery.
Blimey. That is a lot of celery.
Mm.
Lot
It's
of
only for
celery.
2 weeks. I think I've got to do it.
All right.
I'm a week in.
Proper Chelsea fan with your celery obsession.
Oh, let's definitely not talk about Chelsea. It's
Yeah.
been a bad week. It's been a bad week.
A kombucha vape, British. That does not sound healthy. You can't mix kombucha and vaping at the same time like that. Surely that goes against the grain. Yeah, that defeats the object of the healthy kombucha. Fix your gut while you mess up other parts of your body. Surely that's not a great idea, mate.
Speaking of a healthy lifestyle, let's welcome our friend all the way over the other side of the world, big man Backer. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Janny. Hello, Dean. Hello, Janny. Hello, and welcome to all the listeners and viewers. Yeah, this game is going well. I still have no idea what I'm going to do with my team. My head is all over the place, and I'm hoping I can find some clarity after this show as to where things stand.
Do you know what? We should do a poll in the chat. Just a simple poll. Do you have your plan executed, yes or no? Like whether that's transfers or captaincy, do you know what you're doing, yes or no? Because I fall victim to this, big man, a lot. So this isn't digging you out at all. I'm sure half the chat are in exactly the same position you are. We've had 2 weeks till this deadline. How is everyone leaving it to the last hour till they make their mind up? And I know we're 5-6 hours away, but why is that? Why do we leave it late? Because I sometimes do, but I committed to my strategy on Tuesday, so I'm happy. I'm going into this deadline ice cool. But why do we do that? Because there's no more information to get, is there, big man? Not really.
I guess, yeah. I mean, there's the pressure to come from Pep, but I don't think it's going to change anything for this week, at least. It's just because the decisions are big. I mean, and because we don't exactly have a clarity on Son, Salah, their return date, Trent's return date, as further complicated matters. I mean, some people have Bowen as well. I mean, we're just waiting for news which we are unlikely to get, right? So
Yeah.
we're basically firing shots in the dark, and we will be forced to make decisions before the deadline, which will basically be based on little to no information, as much as we hate to do it. But we're just sort of delaying the inevitable till the point where we sort of have to make the transfer.
Yeah, I mean, also, look, we've all had this Salah Son conundrum where suddenly, like, they will leave it, and we don't really know who to replace them with because I've got Foden in straight away, so I have made an early transfer there. But if you already had Foden, for example, like, it's pretty unclear where you should be going. Especially, you might have been considering Bowen, and there's definitely doubts around like if he's going to be playing, when he's going to be fit again. And then obviously you watch the games, Liverpool particularly, and you're trying to figure out which of those Liverpool assets are going to be the ones to have. look, obviously, I watched Liverpool beat Fulham in midweek, and it was difficult watch. But they're scary, man. They're scary because they've got so much goal potential, and you just don't know where it's coming from. I said this on Twitter, like I've watched Fulham play twice against Arsenal, watched them play twice against Liverpool recently, and I was not scared of playing Arsenal. I was not scared of their attack. It didn't feel like, even though they were dominating the ball, wasn't that convinced they were going to score.
Killer instincts, which Liverpool have.
Mate, and especially when they made the changes and they bring Nunes and Gakpo off the bench, I'm like, well, these two are better than the two they're taking off. So, like, this isn't great.
He was amazing when he came on, wasn't he, Darwin? That 30-minute cameo, that would have been 10 FPL points in 30 minutes.
Mate, he is so unlucky at the moment. I don't know if you saw the one that Leno also saved from him.
With his foot.
In the tie. Yeah, I mean, Nunes, he can't do much more at the moment. And he is actually, he's a proper nuisance, but he's also so impactful and important. And I think, like, obviously you keep going towards him and keep being tempted to go and pick him, whereas most people are now just staying away from him. I do wonder if it's coming, mate. I do wonder if we're coming towards a time when surely he's going to start hitting the net. And like Bournemouth away feels like potential for takeoff.
If he looks good against Bournemouth, big man, I might not be selling Darwin for Haaland. I might be selling Watkins for Haaland. Like, that is a genuine thing that I might... Look, Darwin could even have penalties in Salah's absence. It'll probably be McAllister, but Darwin's got a 100% record. I think it's 11 out of 12, or 12 out of 12. He only missed the game in the week against Fulham. He only didn't start because Klopp said he had cramp from the previous game, so he couldn't start the game, which is funny because Darwin never plays 90, plays a set of 90 and then struggles with cramp. Like, it's not a surprise. But big man, even on 6 sets of 60 or 70, which is probably what we'll get from Darwin, if he goes and scores against Bournemouth with a double game week potentially around the corner, there'll be a lot of love there, won't there?
I think Darwin is a good hold for you. I mean, if I was in your position, I mean, it's very close between him and Watkins because with the likely double game week in game week 25, there's an argument to be made of selling Watkins rather than Darwin. And especially if he does well this week, it will be very hard for you to sell him. I knowing you, I don't think you will if he even gets a single return this week. So, yeah, I mean, I wish I held on to Darwin. Actually, I sold him for Alvarez last week, and while it sort of makes things easier, that it sort of makes my route easier to get Haaland back, I sort of wish I had that healthy headache that you do. So yeah, overall, I think Darwin is a good hold, and I'm not necessarily sure he'll be a good buy in the times to come, simply because the blank 26, but he could be worth a consideration if he keeps or shows some signs of form.
If I keep him, I think I'd keep him to the double and then sell in 26. That'd be the loose plan. 50. It's about 50-50. 52% have said they do have their plan executed. And sorry, when I say plan executed, I don't necessarily mean clicking the buttons. Like, I 9 times out of 10 click the buttons in the last half an hour, but I go into that last half an hour going, I'm doing this. I would need some breaking news to change that, and more often than not, that breaking news doesn't come. So that's kind of where I guess I was at. But of course, there's weeks where I go into it the last 30 seconds and I still don't know, am I X or am I Y? And captaincy, we've got to discuss as a collective now, and then we'll start and see our teams. And we've got the Chaser team coming up. Do hit the like button, guys, and subscribe. We'll answer some of your questions as well. It's good to see world number 11 in the chat, FPL Chai. Hello to you, mate. We'll do a captaincy poll as we're discussing this. The big names for captaincy are Palmer and Saka, but then your Man City forward or your Liverpool forward, if you own them, are also part of that conversation. So, Dean, kick us off. Where's your head at with captaincy? Because I'm between two still. I'm not fixed on captaincy, not 100% anyway.
No, I'm not fixed at the moment. I brought Foden in and immediately stuck the captain's armband on him. So at the moment, that's where it is. That's not necessarily where it definitely stays, but there's just not an obvious option this week. You know, with no Salah, no Haaland, no Son in the game at the moment. There's just, I mean, this is a real week that is going to set people apart from each other, I think, because I don't know what you expect the differentials to be in terms of captaincy, but surely there's not going to be an outstanding person, is there?
Salah and Saka. Sorry,
Saka,
Saka and
right.
Palmer are the.
Yeah.
I think Palmer won
I
the
think
vote earlier in the week, big man. Are more people moving towards Saka now, or will Palmer still be the favourite? You think?
I can see
Palmer?
a
Hang
shift
on.
towards.
Why Palmer?
I
What are you
can
expecting
see
from us?
I can see a shift towards Saka, especially after Chelsea's lost to Middlesbrough. I think that was important. But
Yeah.
I was gonna be on Saka captain anyway. I think I'm more tempted to captain Alvarez than Palmer, to be very honest, especially if Haaland is ruled out. I don't like. I think that's a good shout on penalties. Newcastle are kind of all over the place at the moment, so
No
like
Joe
that for
Linton.
Alvarez.
6 weeks out for Joe Linton. That helps the Man City conversation slightly.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick to Saka, but I think Alvarez is a close second.
We'll do a
Okay.
poll for Saka, Palmer, your Liverpool attacker or your Man City attacker. So we'll give 4 options. Dean?
I mean, where's the faith coming from in Saka?
18 points Palmer got, Dean, last time out.
Yeah, I mean, there's more faith in. I don't understand why you would go Saka. Is it just because it's Crystal Palace?
They've got a week in Dubai. Maybe I'm going with the narrative of Arsenal look exhausted. Saka looks exhausted. They've got 10 days off. They're in Dubai. They're going to come back, hit the ground running. They play a Crystal Palace team, which is a little bit leaky, and they've got the home advantage. Now, Chelsea got home advantage. The reason I guess I'm a little bit more put off on Darwin and Foden is purely the fact they're the away team. If Darwin was at home or Foden was at home, without doubt, I'll be capping that player. But I'm actually on Saka or Darwin. Like, they're the two. I've ruled out Palmer and I've ruled out Foden. I think Foden's a good shout.
Yeah, I mean, I might just go with Foden because I'm trying to make up some ground, and if Foden or Alvarez is where I'm going to go. I mean, it's probably a toss up between those two, and the penalty factor I have to take into account. I don't know what we're getting from Arsenal. I really don't. And honestly, Saka, I think there's a massive discussion to be had about him. Like if he doesn't perform this game week, then I'm actually quite concerned about where he's at right now and whether he's burnt out. His performances have been like pretty worrying.
They have.
He's missing massive chances too. It's not just that like I'm worried about him getting locked up by seemingly middle of the road fullbacks, but he's being presented with opportunities right in front of goal and he's sticking them over the bar, he's sticking them wide. It's just not Saka. And I don't know if he's had too much football over the past 2 years because they've just been chucking him out every single week because he's their best player. But it's a difficult one because are they going to give him a rest? They won't give him a rest, will they? That's the thing. Yeah, he's locked in. So yeah, interesting one. But in terms of Palmer, the gamble that you've got too is it's obviously the early game on Saturday, and this is a long old game week.
But is that not a good thing? Because people are liking the fact that Palmer's plays early, and Saka, for example, could get injured, but then it's just we wouldn't know about it, right? Because he plays a week in. But then I'd just say you captain your vice. It goes to your vice. If someone's injured, they're very unlikely to come off the bench and get minutes. But you've said about your review there of Saka is brilliant to get because the majority of the chat, me and Big Man, will all be very guilty of watching football 100% FPL. You watch football 50% FPL and 50% football fan. Yeah, exactly, right? So you watch it as an England fan, as a football fan, and you're watching Saka going, he's not. Now, sure, FPL fans, me and Big Man know he's not been great, but we also go, he finds ways of getting points. He got 7 points last time out and he scored a tap in, and yet he's been unlucky, but he's been getting in the positions. So we will spin the narrative, right? Because his XG and underlyings have been quite good. But actually, if we take a step back from FPL, and we're right to do this, we should do this more often, he has been dreadful, Big Man. He's been really bad. I can't remember Saka playing this poorly for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. When you consider him from an FPL point of view, he's only behind Haaland and Salah. So I'm not as concerned from an FPL point of view. When you look at him from more of a pure footballing fan point of view, then maybe I guess you have an argument. But even from an FPL point of view, I think there would be a case to selling Saka in the weeks to come, especially because if we are likely to end up in the situation where, let's say, Liverpool and City are to double in 25, then a lot of people will struggle to own Trent, Salah, and Haaland, and they might use either Saka or Watkins
Watkins.
as one of their makeweights. So
Yeah.
it will be a very interesting discussion in the weeks to come. And I think because he's so heavily captained this week, if he doesn't perform well, then I can see this argument to selling him in the weeks to come.
He has gone up in price again, I think, last night. Like, it's crazy. He is the highest owned player in the game, ladies and gents. I actually did a wildcard draft the other day and put Odegaard in instead of Saka.
This is the thing, mate. This is exactly what I was just about to get to, because I have been contemplating overnight, like, do I take a 4-point hit? Because my team doesn't look great for this week. And I'm like, I'm tempted to bring in another midfielder. I've already got Foden. And I'm like, if I do swap out another midfielder, I've been thinking Odegaard, not Saka. Like, that has been the majority of my thinking. And I'm scared to do that because, like, now I'm hearing, like, everyone's think who's got Saka is going to captain him, and like
50% of the chat.
Yeah, so that could leave me a serious deficit to everybody else. But on the flip, if you are doing an item, I mean, look, this doesn't always work for me because I watch the games differently to you guys. I'm watching games and I'm like, well, Odegaard is their best midfielder. Odegaard is getting in the best positions. But in terms of FPL points, which is how you guys analyze things, you're often right because he does end up returning even if the performance levels aren't there. And typically that is why I struggle in this game to differentiate between actual performances and FPL performances, whereas you've always got your eye on those stats that actually matter for this game.
I mean, he got a tap in off a parried shot from Martinelli. You know, another day, that's a 2-pointer in game week 20. And then people are looking at maybe selling him, but he got 7 and now we're looking at even more buying. It's crazy. There's also the fear. There's people out there buying Saka purely because the ownership is so high and they're buying him to protect themselves, not because they think he's any good. Thank you to all your comments in the chat. We might, anyone's that are really topical with the conversation, we'll bring them up and address them. We are going to get through our teams. We are going to get through the chaser team. So there's loads to get through. We'll need polls for the chaser team. Tony could be a great captain this week. What's your take with Tony, big man? He obviously scored the hat-trick for the under-23s. It's too early to punt, though, isn't it? We don't know if he's actually match fit. Like, he's been training, but very different to playing games in the Premier League training.
Completely agree. I think he could be an option, though, in the times to come. Like, it sort of suits us well that we can take a couple of weeks to assess him, and then we were looking at, a potential Watkins replacement. I think Tony could be nice because he's not going to double. He's not going to blank in 26, and he's probably going to have a double in 25 as well. So even though the fixtures aren't great, but we know that someone like Tony has been reliable in the past, and if he can show some signs of form, then I don't mind going there.
Yeah, it's interesting because the attacking spots, when you look at your team, big man, you go, I've got Alvarez, Solanke and Watkins, your front three, right?
Yes.
So Alvarez is vulnerable and he'll become Haaland at some point. But Solanke and Watkins, most of us have got these players. If Tony becomes a thing, if Darwin's unlikely, I can't see too many going back there. But certainly Tony, maybe an Isak, who knows. How much patience do you give the likes of Watkins and Solanke? I mean, not that you need much patience at the moment. They're both doing fairly well. But Watkins isn't on pens. Solanke's better priced. Which one of the two would you sell? Do you think you'll sell first?
I think I'd probably sell Watkins because he's more expensive, and because of the fact that Bournemouth could have a double as well, so that's going to come into the consideration as well. Probably look towards selling Watkins if I was to sell one.
Yeah, I think I'm similar. Guys, I think it's about time we have a little look at our team. So hit the like button, gang, and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Anybody want to take my client call so I can keep listening? I love that, D-Web. Love that. Look, to all those on catch-up as well, you don't need to watch this live. We love it when you watch live because we love seeing all your comments in the chat. Like, I've just read one of the... who was it in the chat? I think it was... Back in the net podcast. I won't be putting Odegaard until Party returns. He'll be cooking once he's back in the true 10 role. That is always some really good insight. Let's have a look at Big Man's team first and foremost. So, you've got options here, mate. Have you narrowed it down?
Exactly.
When we last spoke on Wednesday, I'm sure you've narrowed it down. You've got one or two things you're really close to.
I think I want Richarlison as my midfielder of choice to buy, but I'm not sure who to sell. I'm in this position where ideally I would have saved a transfer this week had Charlie Taylor been fit, or had we received a positive update from Winston Company, but that wasn't the case. So with 10 men and with 4 outfielders flagged, I'm sort of forced into a transfer this week, even though I do think that transfer could be put to better use in the future with more information available. But I think one of Salah or Son have to go, at least one of them. Richarlison is the preferred choice, I think, because if I go with Foden, then I won't be able to get Haaland in one move next week. So
Yeah.
something like Salah to Richarlison will mean that I can get to Haaland next week. Alternatively, I could choose to keep Salah and Trent and sell Son instead, but that would lock a hit in for me next week. But again, next week I would have more information on Trent and Salah, so that's the opportunity cost I will be paying for taking the hit. So that's something I'm playing around with. I'm not sure
Enough
which
money
route
for
I'm going
Haaland,
to take.
mate. Enough money for Haaland next week without a hit, because other things could come up where you have to hit and just move and use transfer elsewhere. I just think set yourself up for that smooth transition to Haaland next week. And if that is Son to Richarlison, then that, Salah to Richarlison, then that makes sense, because I think everyone's going to be scrambling around for Haaland next week. And now mostly more casual managers will need 2 transfers. And there's no doubt in my mind against Burnley, he'll be ready to start. He might not play 90, but I think he'll be ready to start. End of the month, like a couple of
Yeah,
weeks.
exactly. It's 2 weeks away, and like probably he's going to be back in training next week.
Son to Garnacho
we would
could be an
expect him
option.
to.
Someone said in the chat.
I mean,
heroic
given the
race.
information, I can't. Yeah, it's a good transfer, but I can't afford Haaland for Alvarez, even if I get Garnacho this week. So it sort of defeats the point. The only way I can do it is if I downgrade Salah to someone 7 million or lower, which is
Or
why
lower.
I sort of prefer Richarlison in that price range. There's another thing I could do. I could sell. I mean, this is something which is left field, and this is something you might like, Janny, given the kind of manager you are. This is Salah to Richarlison and Son to Foden for a hit this week. That would also give me enough to get Haaland for Alvarez next week.
I like that.
But it would sort of, it would. I knew you'd like it, but it would sort of complicate things later when I have to sort of get Salah back. So that's the trouble with this.
The sensible play, Tufik has said it, which I also like. Salah to Pascal Gross. Now, Dean, talk to me about Richarlison and why big man should or shouldn't buy him, because I look at the front 4 of Spurs when Son is back. So I think Richarlison is a fantastic punt for the next few weeks. But as soon as Son is back, Kulu starts, Maddison starts, Son starts, there's one attacking spot left in that team. It will be Werner, it will be Richarlison, it will be Brennan Johnson, it will be Solomon. It will probably be between Richarlison and Werner, right? Whether that's 9 or on the left, because Son will start in either position, depending on the opposition. Richarlison is a transfer out waiting to happen, isn't he? But maybe that's fine for big man, because he wants him for 3-4 weeks, and then by game week 26, he's selling him anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a guaranteed few weeks here of Tottenham's number 9 playing in a system that is going to suit him perfectly. I mean, Tottenham are going to line up with Brennan Johnson one side, Timo Werner on the left, and Kulusevski in behind Richarlison, and that is perfect for him. Yep. I'd be amazed if Richarlison doesn't take this opportunity to actually make something of his Tottenham career, because if he doesn't do it in the next few weeks, then you're kind of counting down to him being sold, because if he can't do it in these circumstances, then when he's going to, he was always living in the shadows of Harry Kane and Son, and neither of them are there for the first time. And this is a golden opportunity for him to show that he can actually live up to the transfer that he made. And having Werner in there as well, I think suits him. Honestly, I think Richarlison's a really good pick for the next few weeks.
And Janny, just to add to your argument on Richarlison, I'd also like to say that I could possibly even use him as a route back to Salah in 24. So I don't necessarily have to keep him till 26. That's the main catch.
Yeah. No, and when you look at the rest of your midfield, route back to Salah, you might not want to. Let's say Saka scores a couple. You don't want to sell Palmer. The Son replacement probably will be longer term. Yeah, I don't mind that at all, mate. Pascal Gross, I do like as a set and forget option. I've gone Pascal Gross for that reason, but I'm holding Salah. You bringing in someone to then go reverse the move and go back to Salah makes sense that it would be a shorter term punt. And Richarlison over Gross for me for the next few, just because, as Dean says, he's got the chance to be the big fish. So yeah mate, you've got options.
There's a stat as well on Richarlison. He's got 5 goals in his last 5 Premier League games, and that's as many as he'd scored in his previous 45 appearances in the competition before that point. Like, Richarlison has finally actually fitted into this team. He actually feels part of it for the first time since joining Tottenham. So I think it's another layer, really, to the reasoning behind why you can have some confidence in him.
Okay, there we go. I love that. Big man, I've enjoyed seeing your team. We might flash it up towards the end of the show and see if what you see from me and Dean and the Chaser team and anything in the chat has changed at all your opinion, because your team is the most noteworthy from the 3, because you're firstly one of the best managers in the world with your amazing rank history. But secondly, you've got loads of different avenues. Like, my team is locked and set, and most of the Chasers will already know what I've done. I've been quite vocal about that on Twitter. I sold Trent on Tuesday night, and I've made another transfer last night. But yeah, we'll come back to this. Whose team shall we show next? Is it me or Dean? Let's have a look. Is me. Good. So I've left the exact funds in the bank to go Darwin to Haaland, but actually I might keep Darwin, and it might be Watkins to Haaland, and therefore money's not an issue. I can't afford Solanke to Haaland next week in one move. But I do think Solanke, and this is why I asked Big Man the question earlier, who do you think you'll hold on to longer, Watkins or Solanke? Because of his price, Watkins could become a sell. My 2 moves have been 2 Brighton assets. When you look at the fixture ticker, they are top. They're both quite well priced. They're both fairly long-term options. Brighton won't blank in 26, like some teams might that are affected by the Carabao Cup final. They could blank in 29, but by then, Europa League kicks in, and I'll probably want maybe one of them gone, maybe both of them gone. But until game week 28, 29, I'm all right. Big Man, what do you think to this team? I've sold Trent, which I know is something you're probably fairly against because it's not one of your options. I do think I can get Trent back in 24 though by selling Saka.
I don't think that's a bad move for your team, because you had 2 playable defenders. So in your case, it made more sense. Exactly. In my case, I have double Arsenal defense, so I sort of didn't have to do it. But again, this is why this week is so interesting, because a lot of different people can take different routes depending on their team. I mean, there's no black and white, right, correct choice for to advise every FPL manager like we usually give advice every week. There's no generic advice. It's very specific to every individual's team. And for your team, I think it made good sense. I would have sold Trent as well in your team.
Good to know. Thank you. Glad to hear that.
And yeah, I mean, I would have preferred Richarlison over Gross, but
I was 0.1 short.
Gross. Oh, you were 0.1 short. In that case, yeah, I think Gross is the best pick for sure.
Yeah, I bought Gross last night for 6.4. He's now 6.5, and that's why I had to move last night. I think Richarlison 6.6. Maybe I was 0.2 short, but the plan was always Richarlison. And then the price check. This was a couple of weeks back, and then the price, it just didn't happen because I sold Trent instead of Salah.
There's one minor change though I'd like to make. I'd like to change the vice captaincy and move it on to someone who's playing tomorrow or day after, because Saka's playing a week from now. Darwin is also playing around 10 days from now. You don't want to be in that situation. I know it's very unlikely, but you don't want to end up in a situation where both of them don't end up playing due to some knock or whatever. So having a vice captain on someone who's playing this weekend is probably wiser.
I hadn't thought of that. I mean, it could be something like, I'm trying to think though, what the chances both being injured. That doesn't really matter if it was a last minute injury this weekend.
Extremely unlikely.
Maybe, I don't know, we had the Queen die and everything ground to a halt with the FPL. So unless the King dies, then I think I'm all right with 2 second half. Dean, what do you reckon?
What logic have you just computed in your brain? Well, if the King dies, then this vice captaincy might not pay off.
I don't know. Maybe there's a natural disaster. I don't know. We go to war.
I think maybe the most likely emergency you might face is snow and ice, mate. That might be our biggest problem in the Premier League over the next 2 weeks, given the cold weather that we're having at the moment.
Yeah. I've got 2 different geographies there. I've got Liverpool and London covered. No, I've got Bournemouth and London. So different weathers-ish.
Maybe
not. Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, maybe Bournemouth is Bournemouth's probably a bit of a risk, given it's a not great stadium and it's in a colder spot, so maybe. But yeah,
I'm surprised soil heating at Bournemouth.
Yeah, I think they've probably got it by now. I'm surprised you're like considering Watkins down the line. I just think I'm setting to forget now on Watkins. He's staying in for the season. Like,
he is very good. He's
just so consistent, mate. Even when he goes off the boil for a couple of weeks, he's coming back into the goals.
True. But Trent, man.
What?
Not having Trent in 24 as Burnley, and then a double game week probably.
If he's fit.
If he's fit. And by the way, guys, I know that he's expected just to be out for 22. 22. Game week 20. No, yeah. Is it 22? No, okay. Trent
is.
Yeah.
It is.
So that's he'll miss the. We'll know he'll miss the Bournemouth game, but he's expected back for Chelsea. Arsenal is only 4 days after that. So if he misses Chelsea, there's a chance he misses Arsenal too. So he could be missing Trent for 3 weeks, game weeks.
Yeah. And I think the type of injury you have, definitely you've got to. There's no guarantees that he's back, not with that sort of diagnosis that was given. And so I think that's definitely up in the air for now. Obviously, if he's back, if he's fully fit, then you pick him. But yeah, I do think it's a watch and see for now.
Yeah. Okay, what's your plan with Lascelles? I'll answer that and then we'll show Dean's team. So I do need to upgrade. Like as soon as we get into blank game week territory around game week 26, which will be the Carabao Cup, right? So the teams that should blank in 26 is Liverpool and Chelsea if they get to the final. And then I think Chelsea's opponent that week is Spurs, right? So we're going to see Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool blank. You're going to need a playing bench, guys, because you're going to have 3 players from those 3 teams at least. So Lascelles, I need to upgrade. So my loose plan is to be able to, I mean, I've got the exact funds. It depends if I'm selling Watkins or Darwin. So I will not be replacing Lascelles, unlikely till game week 23. My focus next week will be Haaland in for Darwin or Watkins. I've got the exact funds for Darwin, as I said, and hope I don't get a price rise out of Haaland. Surely not. He only dropped 0.1 though. And then I will roll in 22 and in 23 replace Lascelles with someone that I know won't blank in 29 or 26. By then we should have more info. So that's the loose plan. Okay, that's my team. So yeah, I'm big on Brighton, guys. I've not spoken in detail about Estupiñán or Gross, but just know both are good buys this week, in my opinion.
Nice. Yeah, so one of the things I've wished I'd really looked at a bit closer coming to this game week is the fact that the fixtures are so like up in the air, and I wish I had a better spread of games covered. I think that's something that I want to be looking into right now. So there are games like, for example, like Burnley Luton. Like I know it's not a very sexy fixture, but I think that match is actually being overlooked for assets. And Alfie Doherty is definitely somebody that I'm feeling like I should probably be looking to get in my team at this point. You look on my bench, I've got Lascelles and Baldock, neither of which I want. I've got loads of money in the bank at the moment. And I'm kind of like, I don't know, this isn't necessarily going to happen this week, but there has been part of my brain thinking, should I get Doherty in? Like he seems to be, I saw somebody talking about this the other day. It might have been Ian Irving. It might have been Ian Irving's talking on the FPL show about, it was like, oh, that was it. It was surprises for the new year. And he said there will come a time when everyone has Alfie Doherty in their team.
Ice G's just bought him in the chat. He went up in value this week as well. He's 4.5 now, I think.
Mate, he's got really good output. I saw a stat. I'll read it out. Only James Ward-Prowse has created more chances from set plays and has more assists from set plays in the Premier League this season than Alfie Doherty, who has 22 chances, 4 assists.
And he was on the bench at the start of the season. So he's not even played every game.
Absolutely, yeah. It's interesting. I mean, Luton are unbeaten against Burnley away from home in a long time. Actually, they've got a really good record for this game. So as a bit of a differential, I've been contemplating whether I need something like that. Sometimes when you look at the biggest scores of the week, you look at their team, and there's always a couple of random players in there that just nobody else has picked up. You'll see like a Burnley player there and a Crystal Palace player there that you just wouldn't have contemplated. And I'm like, maybe I should just have a couple of like just throw-ins every so often. Just throw a couple into the lineup that absolutely nobody is considering, but just might deliver some points out of the blue. But if I don't do that, then Gordon I don't particularly like for this game week. I also don't like the fact that I have 4 players playing from that fixture. So
I would start Baldock this week, mate. Without Bowen, I think we could see a clean sheet for Sheffield United. I'd start Baldock over Gordon.
Yeah. So that's definitely
maybe back 4.
Yeah, it's go back 4. And again, that would kind of cover that differential that I might get from an Alfie Doherty of covering a position and a team that nobody else is really going to be worrying about right now. West Ham, obviously, like not got that many options. There's a lot of talk at the moment of West Ham being after a forward, and they are. But I spoke to someone yesterday at West Ham who was completely unconvinced that they would actually do it. He's like, mate, there's a lot of chat here and not a lot of action going on behind the scenes. Like we're looking at a lot of players and really not close to pulling the trigger on anything. Like if we do anything, might be like a backup right back or left back that we look like a versatile fullback in. Blimey, don't do a briefing on that because the West Ham fans are absolutely mental. So yeah, but anyway, Baldock coming in for Gordon is probably a good option and saves me taking that -4 that I have been contemplating to get in an Odegaard type figure. So yeah, maybe I'll do that, mate.
We've got some breaking news as you're speaking there. Big man, I'll come to you for a reaction. Pep is in this press conference as we speak. I bet Ian Irvin's actually there. Oh no, he was on the fantasy show today. Maybe not. But he has said Haaland and Stones are definitely out. So Haaland will not even be on the bench. And we saw pictures of him training with the group, but not physical stuff yesterday. And De Bruyne is ready to start. And I can see he is very good. And the trip to Abu Dhabi will do him good too. If De Bruyne starts, those that are leaving it till today to make a transfer will be put off by Phil Foden. I don't think that's a problem. I think we could see Foden and De Bruyne comfortably in the same 11. It just means Foden might not play his preferred role. But do we think De Bruyne starts and gets 60 then, Dean? Or do you think he still gets a cameo off the bench? And Big Man, I'll come to you for a reaction on that too.
I think he'll start him, mate.
Do you reckon?
I think he'll start De Bruyne, yeah. Newcastle have been trying to reassert themselves. And there's no better way to do that than going to Newcastle and giving him absolute pummeling. And I think if De Bruyne goes into that lineup, he already looks sharp from the moment he came on his return. And it just changes the face of everything and strikes fear into everyone if they go and do that. And if they can get in command in that game, they won't let it slip. Like Newcastle haven't got the squad depth really at the moment to take it on the chin, because if you can go ahead early against Newcastle, honestly, we're getting to a time when they're going to start doubting themselves and the crowd will start doubting them too. Like I know that they're fully behind Eddie Howe and all the rest of it, but there's no doubt that their run of form is going to be lingering in the back of everyone's mind about, is this about to fall off a cliff? Obviously does annoys me a little bit that he's come out and been that strong on it, because I've just brought in Foden and it does definitely change the perception of him. That will change my thinking on the captaincy for sure. Yeah, I mean, that definitely won't be Foden. Yeah. Like, I'll give that to Alvarez for sure now. But yeah, Foden will still play. I'm not, if he
slightly less responsibility there for him now, though, isn't there? When De Bruyne is the pulling all those strings, it's centrally.
But maybe Foden will Foden's just been in such sensational form. You won't leave a player like that out. I just can't see that Foden would suddenly fall to the bench because De Bruyne's back.
Same. And I've had loads of questions on it this week. Will he be a rotation risk when De Bruyne's fit? Absolutely not. He'll be first choice on the right hand side. But Big Man, what's your take there with the De Bruyne? Like, firstly, is De Bruyne a potential one to consider, and then impacts on Foden and Alvarez too? Like, no Haaland means Alvarez is on pens and could get 90,
Exactly. I think it sort of gives me a captaincy headache. I'll definitely consider Alvarez this week. I think it'll be close between him and Saka, especially with Haaland not being available at all. With De Bruyne, I don't think he will start this week, though. In a recent interview, he did say that he sort of expects himself to be on the bench tomorrow. And given how Foden has been playing in the position, I don't think De Bruyne will come straight back in. But you never know. I mean, we could see a bit of a surprise. But it sort of does put me off Foden to a slight extent, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't work out if I think he's going to get 60 or 30. I really can't. The quote from Pep has possibly thrown me a bit, but it would be so Pep to say he could start tomorrow and then, of course, bench him. He's not saying he will start. Guys in the chat, let's do a poll. Do you think KDB starts against Newcastle? Yes or no? I reckon a lot of you are going to be like me, completely 50-50. Dean, good to see your team. You've definitely got more than enough funds there for Haaland. 11.8 in the bank, mate. You are flush. Love that.
I know. I've never been so rich, mate. It's not very often I'm happy to look at my bank balance, but I keep opening up this app just to have a quick look.
Oh, brilliant. Let's have a look at the Chase team, because we're going to have to start polling Chase teams, but we'll do that poll about the De Bruyne, because that would just be a quick one. And big man, I'm going to get your thoughts on this team, because we've got one free transfer. We've got 4.2 million in the bank. We might want to leave ourselves open for Haaland. We can't see the team just yet, but it will be on screen in a sec. Before it is, big man, Haaland, knowing he's completely out, are we now thinking, I mean, look, we'll know more information before the deadline, but game week 22, we're all going, you need a plan for Haaland, you need a plan for Haaland. What if he's not ready for 22? Or do you just think it's 2-3 weeks away, we're fine? He will be. He'll start against Burnley.
I don't think it will change much of my plans, because let's say if Haaland isn't back by 22, I'll just keep Alvarez and probably even captain him in 22. That's what I'm going to do. But what it does change is that it sort of wants me to keep Salah over Son, because it then sort of means that, I don't necessarily have to plan for Haaland, but I'm not entirely sure what to make of it. I mean, if I was to guess, I would still think he makes 22, because
it's a long way away, isn't it?
It's a long way away, man. I mean, you could argue that, I mean, there is the FA Cup game against Chelsea, which will give us some clues.
Good one. Yeah.
I think it's 3 or 4 days before the Burnley fixture. But again, we won't have that information for this deadline. So the best thing is to be as flexible as possible.
Yeah. Help us out with the Chaser team, big man. We're looking at this team. We know Trent is going to miss 1 game minimum. Salah probably missing 3-4 games. Do we have to address that, or can we hold these guys? Because actually, other than Lascelles, everyone's a starter here. So I think we can afford to hold Trent and Salah potentially, right? Or do we need the money? I mean, at the moment, we don't need the money. 4.2 in the bank.
This is an easy save. Easy save.
Just to roll the transfer week, you think?
Yes, exactly. I wish I had a similar team where I could afford this luxury.
Yeah, true. And yeah. I think, and Estupinan, we're an early adopter there, which is quite cool. So I guess the benchings would be, Trent, Salah, and Lascelles, and you hope everyone else is fit. Guys, we will do that poll. I think the poll is up about KDB. We'll poll in a minute, roll or not. I think many of you will say yes. I want to ask Big Man about a player that's not on screen, but he's in mine and Big Man's teams. Charlie Taylor. He could hold the key for potential moves. And actually, my plan was to wait until closer to the deadline, and then I can make a call if we get a leak on Charlie Taylor. Company hasn't said a thing. The original quote from Company was talking about potentially available for the Monday night game. It was then moved to Friday. It sounded like he was very touch and go for that Monday. I am not banking on a Charlie Taylor start.
Yeah, that's what I would suggest as well.
Are you the same?
No, I don't think he's going to play, if I was to guess.
I'm the same.
So, I mean, I am sort of making my transfers with the assumption that he will not be available.
Right.
And I mean, given that it's Burnley, I mean, with the greatest of respect, we won't expect a leak from them anyway, even if it's a Friday deadline. So I mean, it does make sense waiting till close to the deadline, but I don't think we'll hear a leak.
Yeah, 63% of you don't think KDB will start. Interesting. Should the Chaser team roll the transfer this week? Yes or no? We also have a super chat by the awesome Mark DeLu. Thank you, mate. He's used my wildcard bench KDB or Richarlison. Ooh, that's a very good wildcard squad.
I would play Richarlison for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'd do there. You're Richarlison for sure, big man. You're strong
for sure, because I think there's an outside chance of penalties as well, because Maddison's not there, Son's not there, 90 minutes as well. With KDB, we're not exactly sure about minutes, so I think it's clear for me, Richarlison.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hell of a team to have this decision to make, benching Kevin De Bruyne this week. It still seems too risky to me, because if De Bruyne is going to feature in this game, I think the chances of him bringing home some points is high. Even if he only gets half an hour, I would be backing De Bruyne on his first Premier League game back to be making an impact. So I would still lean towards Richarlison just because we know that he's definitely starting the game. Benching KDB seems risky.
Yeah, I
pointless
would
to be
question
having him.
mark just the makeup of your 8 attackers. Because if Richarlison and KDB, I guess you've got maybe, I don't know who else you've got, but I wonder if you want to rejig funds slightly to have a slightly weaker and easier bench option as an 8th attacker.
Yeah.
Like Garnacho is the perfect 8th attacker at the moment. He's cheap. You get more money in your 11, but he starts every game and he's got good fixtures. But good question, Mark. And yeah, we'd all say Richarlison, I think. And I'm glad you got Foden in your team as well, mate. And thank you for supporting the channel with a super chat. If you guys want to support this channel, but don't want to ask a super chat, that's cool. But you can hit that like button for free. So that'd be amazing. Start Pau Torres or Archer from the heroic doses. I'm going to come to Big Man on this one. Archer has got an okay fixture. Home to West Ham. He's playing well under the new manager, Archer. Pau Torres is away to Everton, and I think still doubtful. What's your take, Big Man?
I would play Archer. I do expect
Attacking
Everton to
plan.
score. Everton are good at home, and yeah, I mean West Ham will be sort of weakened with all their players unavailable. Paqueta, Bowen, Kudos. So I would go with Archer. I think Sheffield United will score in that fixture, and there's a good chance he might be involved.
Yeah, good stuff. Always back the attacker if you're 50-50, I always say. So far, we've done a poll, and 55% of you say we should roll the transfer. So this team will be rolled. The benches, as we just said, Trent, Salah and Lascelles. Captaincy is a question for the Chasers. Now, we like to have fun with captaincy with the Chasers. So we're going to give you a couple of options. Darwin, Saka, Palmer, and we'll go for a rogue one. Well, suggestions in the chat. Who should our 4th person be? And Estupinan, Watkins, Solanke against his old club. We'll definitely do Saka, Palmer and Darwin. Who should be the 4th name? Give us some names, team. As you're doing that, we will answer Christian's super chat. Join my international league, boys and girls. Okay.
Nice.
Christian,
Throwing
we
his
will be
code
sure
in
to
there.
join that.
Throwing the old code in there. Nice one, Christian. Yeah, we'll come in and win that.
FPL Chai, world number 10, is going to come in and win that, isn't he?
Yeah, that's a bad
He's in the
idea,
chat.
actually. We've got one of the best in the world in this chat room. Naylor, start Amari Bell or Ruben Dias, both away from home. That's a random decision to have to make, isn't it? I've never seen this dilemma.
Man City, the 2nd best defense in the league, sometimes the best.
I'm gonna say, like, if you've got Ruben Dias, you've got him for a reason because you trust him that defense to hold out. And even though Amari Bell's got a decent fixture, you can't back him over Man City.
Yeah, good stuff. We will, Big Man. We're going to leave it to you to give player number 4. There's some suggestions in the chat. Shall we cap poll? Palmer, Darwin, Saka, and which other player?
Alvarez.
No, we haven't got Alvarez.
From this team. From this team.
Yeah.
Okay. No one else. Honestly, no one else.
Oh, I like that. Let's give it a
Honestly, no one else. Honestly, no one else. You're not going to captain Solanke. You're not going to captain. Even Watkins doesn't exactly have the best fixture. Yeah, Salah, Palmer, Darwin to an extent. Yeah.
It will only waste
Saka, Palmer, Darwin.
Anyway.
Yeah, no one's going to captain Gordon. No one's going to captain Estupinan. So yeah, has to be these 3.
Let's do it, guys. This is not a poll for who you're captaining. We say it every week. This is a poll for who you want on your second team, right? This is your second. You're not allowed a second team. Well, you're allowed a second team here because this is the Chaser 11 that you guys dictate. So, doesn't have to be the guy you're giving the armband to. I am very torn this week on who I'm actually captaining, and it's between Saka and Darwin. So I'm hoping you guys might think a little bit left field and go for a certain Uruguayan. But I'm not influencing the vote, CH. I know I'm not influencing the vote.
This vote is all over the place. It's shooting all around the spot. Darwin and Palmer is close. Saka's not going to come close to winning it. But Darwin and Palmer are head-to-head here to try and win it. And
we cap it at 100.
Yeah, I'm going to say keep getting votes in because this is interesting to see how this actually plays out. I voted Darwin. And that's not just because Palmer's playing against Fulham, I promise.
I'll go with Saka. Transfer out Pau or Trippier for Estupinan, please. Thank you, Adam, for the super chat. It's a tricky one. It depends on whether you need funds for Haaland later. But if funds are not an issue, I was tempted to say Pau, but actually I just noticed that Villa have a good fixture in game week 26 as well, when a lot of teams will be blanking. They're playing, I think it's Forest at home in 26. Even in game week 23, they're playing Sheffield United away. So I'll probably keep Torres and I'll sell Trippier.
Looking like it's going to be
Next to
Palmer
watch out.
captain and
Yeah, it is gonna be
Darwin
Palmer.
vice captain. I'm cool with that. And we'll cap that. It's got to 100. Guys, if you're just tuning in, now some of you, which is awesome, like I love seeing new faces. I'm seeing some new faces in the chat. We've never seen you before. So hello, I'm Janny and the host of Chasing Green Arrows, and I'm joined by two regular co-hosts. Dean and I stream every Monday and Friday. Me and Big Man stream on a Wednesday. And this channel is lots of fun. This is the channel that's brought you Fabrizio Romano as a guest. We've had James Richardson, Jules Breach, Kelly Summers. They're like the gang from their FPL show. We've had Dean Ashton, who's got an England cap, don't you know, on this show. So we have some big names as well as the usual suspects. So make sure you're subscribed. And when you do, hit that notification bell. There's still some big dilemmas this week, though, isn't there?
That was such a throwback to your old day job. Like, that was such a good sell.
Mate, that was
like
selling toasters and kettles.
Yeah, it was proper shopping channel stuff, that, mate. I loved it. Brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant.
All I didn't do is the whole $7.99 P&P and a 153 phone call.
It still rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Mate, we'd sell loads of stuff below cost price. So we could actually say on air, legit, we paid more for this item than you're paying. Like, how cool is that? We as a business paid more. You're getting it for a great deal. We paid
That's
£6. You're selling it for £4. But what we're not saying is the whole 153 phone call per minute, and we kept them on for a while, and $7.99 P&P.
They got absolutely rinsed.
$7.99 P&P on anything as well. So it could be like an umbrella, which I remember selling umbrellas for a penny, and it was like, yeah, but we're charging you £8 postage.
Oh my days.
Yeah.
Right, careful, there'll be an investigation. Let's move on.
Yeah, well, the channel was closed down because we did step too far a few times. But I morally was fine with that because it wasn't my decision. I was just the
You were just a presenter, mate. Yeah, you're host. Yeah, it's fine.
Big Man, final decisions for you. Shall we have a quick look at your team again? Come on. I know you can't commit, and I'm not asking you to. Like, it is too early, especially for you. Like, you have got a lot of different directions. As we've spoken, you must be leaning in one direction more than another.
I think I'll get Richarlison in one way or the other.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure who for. As of now, I'm probably leaning towards selling Salah, I guess, but that could easily change.
Okay. I like that. And then you get to that move will allow Haaland next week in one move.
Yes, it will.
Which is key.
Absolutely.
And captaincy, with the news from Pep, does Alvarez become I think Alvarez becomes a stronger candidate. Is he strong enough to move Saka out the way?
I think I'll still be on Saka, but it's enough to make me think twice.
It is. Dean, what's your take with Alvarez in that team against Newcastle as a captaincy option? Because a lot of the chat own Alvarez.
Yeah, I mean, I said already that I was contemplating Foden, and now I'm definitely going Alvarez. I think over the course of the last hour, I've become stronger and stronger in believing in Alvarez, especially Newcastle are just going to be up against it in this fixture. And again, if De Bruyne does play in this game, one thing that also increases is the opportunity to win a penalty for Man City, because Newcastle will be caught and they'll make a clumsy challenge or give away a silly handball. I can just see City get a pen. So unless De Bruyne is also now on pens, I'm liking the fact that Alvarez could have that going for him. And it might be the last week that you can get a big haul from Julian Alvarez. Like, this might be the last week I own Julian Alvarez. Like, I'm going to have to seriously contemplate what my Man City assets are going to be beyond this moment. And, you know, currently having Kyle Walker, Foden, Alvarez, but knowing I'm going to want Haaland and KDB soon, it's all going to be a mix-up. So Alvarez is going to be my man because it's a last hurrah. It's like a farewell party, I think, for Alvarez.
Michael says Alvarez is now a weaker option if KDB plays. I don't see it as that at all. I see more creativity in the team. And remember, Alvarez isn't playing in the KDB role with no Haaland. Alvarez is the number 9 in that team. Stronger, right? If KDB starts, that's even better for Alvarez, isn't it, big man?
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Guys, we have got a chat that is going at it like the clappers. It's awesome to have over 350 with us. Do like and subscribe to the channel. But look, loads of you have just joined in the last 10, 15 minutes. Go back and watch the last hour. I guarantee you'll be in for a good ride. We've talked a lot about our plans moving forward with transfers. We've spoken a lot about the dilemmas this week, mainly around captaincy and transfers in. I haven't spoken a huge amount about who and why I've sold Trent. It works for my team though, and Big Man covered that really nicely. Like, I don't want people going, I think Trent is a better sell than Salah or Son this week. It's so team dependent. If you're faced with 2 defenders playing and only 2 defenders playing and 0 in the bank, which is where I was at, then the Trent transfer made complete sense. But for many of you, selling Salah or Son will probably make more sense. So hopefully you're pointing in the right direction wherever you need to. There is a whole separate conversation we'll pick up next week about, do we keep Salah through the AFCON? And I am veering on that side because, 1, I've sold Trent, I can. And 2, there is a chance Salah in the quarterfinals comes home and he's back for Burnley in 24. His quarterfinal lineup will be Ivory Coast, Nigeria or Morocco, pretty much. Now, those 3 teams, 2 of them are shorter odds. They're heavily backed more than Egypt to lift the AFCON. That's Morocco and Ivory Coast, shorter odds, and Nigeria a 10-1. So slightly longer odds than Egypt at 9, I think it is. So the chance Salah is back for 24. So just bear that in mind when you consider selling him. Oh, I think that's enough from me. I've got a deadline stream at 4:45, let's say. This afternoon, I'm going to do a deadline stream. So come and join me on my channel if you fancy that one. But it'll be a shame because I won't have my mates with me. Dean and Big Man, it was a pleasure to have you both, and you make streaming so much fun. Big Man, final thoughts from you this game week?
Yeah, good luck, everyone. I hope the variance isn't as brutal as we expect it to be in the weeks to come, but it should make for a fun ride, especially the next 2 months. We're going to see a lot of different strategies, a lot of different players come into play, and I hope that we can make the most of it.
Yeah. And Dean, final thoughts from you?
Well, it's Chelsea v Fulham this weekend, mate. So we don't like each other for the next couple of days. So we'll just leave it at that, and I wish you all the best.
It's the Port Derby.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that, actually. Guys, thank you. Go on.
No, I don't think Chelsea or Fulham. I don't think anyone's looking forward to this game. Both teams are just like,
meh.
Don't really want to play each other now.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Guys, enjoy the longer game week. Don't forget the deadline is 6:15. But for now, he's been Big Man. He's been Dean. I've been Janny, and we've all been chasing green arrows. See you at 4:45.